Biological sex is a social construct. Now, before you click off this video and call me an ableist slur, let me explain. I know this statement can be confusing to some on the surface, so let's start with what a social construct even is to begin with. It's any concept that exists not in objective reality, but instead because humans agree that it exists. This means that any system of classification invented by human beings, from gender to biological sex to race, is a social construct. Like with all other social constructs, folks talked about it, social, and built it up. Construct. Of course, our bodies themselves aren't social constructs. They definitely physically exist. However, the way we have chosen to categorize and label them is a social construct. Why highlight this fact though? Why does biological sex being a social construct even matter? It matters because folks' view of biological sex is often far too oversimplified, and these oversimplifications can be inaccurate and even harmful. Not to mention that society's views of gender and biological sex have heavily influenced each other in a way that has upheld a very binary and limited view of both concepts. But we'll get into all of that more later. This leads us to what many folks were taught their entire lives, that there are only two biological sexes, male and female, with clearly distinguishable characteristics. Males have penises, females have vaginas. Males have XY chromosomes, females have XX chromosomes. Males have more testosterone, females have more estrogen, and so on. A chart of these societally crafted male and female traits may look something like this. However, in actuality, this isn't always the case. Someone can have a body that looks like this, for example. And this is where the binary view of biological sex completely falls apart. To be intersex means to have variations in sex characteristics or reproductive anatomy that deviates from the male-female societally crafted norm. Some folks try to dismiss intersex folks' existence in these conversations by saying, well, that's extremely rare, so why should that even count? But that argument really doesn't hold up for a variety of reasons. For one, even using more conservative definitions of intersex, about 2% of the population is intersex. That's about the same amount of folks who have green eyes or red hair. And we don't say folks with green eyes don't count in conversations about eye color, or that folks with red hair don't count in conversations about hair color. So why should we do that to intersex folks in conversations about biological sex? With society's current binary and intersex exclusionary views with regard to biological sex, intersexism sadly runs rampant. Oftentimes, intersex infants are subject to non-consensual, irreversible, purely cosmetic procedures to normalize their genitalia. This practice is often referred to as IgM, which is short for intersex genital mutilation. IgM continues because doctors and much of society views intersex folks as inherently disordered and in need of fixing, rather than just viewing intersex folks as having one of the plethora of ways biological sex can present itself. Not only is this way of viewing intersex folks exclusionary, othering, and objectifying, there is also growing evidence that IgM frequently inflicts permanent physical and psychological harm to those forced to undergo it. Many intersex folks are, to put it lightly, dissatisfied with the unconsensual procedures they had to undergo as infants, especially when these procedures in many cases cause folks to lose sexual sensation, become sterile, or even be uncomfortable or dysphoric towards the genitalia permanently chosen for them. And no, for all you anti-trans folks out there, this is not at all the same to trans folks consensually undergoing gender-affirming surgeries, which have been shown to leave an overwhelmingly positive impact on those who undergo them, more so than most other medical procedures. Even the way in which we differentiate between biological sex and gender identity isn't very sound. If we take that our current binary system of biological sex classification is far too oversimplified and faulty, in a similar manner to the way the binary classification system of gender is, what makes us any less capable of self-identifying our biological sex in a similar manner to which we self-identify our gender identity? The only terms we really need to differentiate between trans and cis folks is just that: trans and cis. Who is to say that the difference between trans and cis folks is one of biological sex if biological sex isn't defined in such a clear-cut way? Why can't a trans woman be a biological woman, or a trans man be a biological man, or even a non-binary person be a biological non-binary person? We could even discuss Aldernic identities, in which one doesn't want a Mullerian body, aka a traditionally female body, or a Wolfian body, aka a traditionally male body, and often refuse to identify with any sort of male, female, non-binary, etc. biological sex label. At the end of the day, biological sex is a social construct, isn't at all binary, and isn't nearly as simple as many folks would like to make it out to be. And no one should be made to feel ashamed of their body. Thank you for watching. Follow me, Instagram at IsabellaScarlett_, Twitter at IsabellaScarlett2, and BlueSky, IsabellaScarlett. Thank you. Bye.